Now you're
Whenever you're ready.
Before I begin, I'd like to ask permission to move freely about the courtroom.
As long as you don't go into the well of court, yes.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Jared Stone, and I, along with co-counsel Wendy Rogers and Daniel Shimano, represent Ray Concha. Your Honor, this is Ray Concha. She's 18 years old. She's a regular volunteer at Home and Shelter, a talented member of the school band, and a kind young woman with a bright future. And today, she sits, accused of drug dealing and murdering one of her friends. Ray's future is at stake because of eyewitnesses that couldn't see and a police officer that didn't look. The reason Ray Concha is on trial today is that the prosecution is blinded by the need to blame. Your Honor, the evidence will show that the prosecution's witness, Officer Doherty, focused their investigation on my client for nearly 2 months. But Your Honor, you will not hear or see any physical evidence that proves beyond a reasonable doubt that my client sold Jason Johnson, the deceased, any drugs. No pictures of drug sales, no fingerprints on the drugs, nothing. In fact, you will hear testimony that Officer Doherty's focus on our client hinges on the word of another Rosewood High School senior named Alex Weaver. It was Alex Weaver who accused my client of dealing drugs. But Your Honor, Alex Weaver has every reason to defame my client. It was Alex Weaver who was popping pills with the deceased the night before Jason died. It was Alex Weaver who had access to my client's car the day of March 27th. And it was Alex Weaver's backpack, not my client's. Now, Officer Doherty arrested my client just a few hours after Alex Weaver suggested she should. The officer was blinded by these facts, blinded by the need to blame. Then, Your Honor, you will hear from 4 additional witnesses. First, Dale Piper, a leader at a volunteer organization, will make it clear that Ray Concha spends her time counseling at-risk teenagers to avoid dangerous drugs, not deal them. Then, Avery Perkins, the Rosewood High School music teacher, will tell you that she has seen none other than Alex Weaver waving around stacks of money in the back of class. Third, an expert in the field of forensic pathology, Dr. Burke, will apply his nearly 25 years of experience and tell you that alcohol was the cause of Jason Johnson's death and Adderall had no effect in it whatsoever. Finally, you will hear from Ray Concha herself. Ray will tell you the truth, that she possessed the drug, Adderall, because she has a legal prescription for it. Then, she will also testify to the fact that she has no motive whatsoever to sell it to anyone, least of all her friend Jason. Your Honor, the state may have been blinded by their need to blame, but we know you will approach this case with a clear and open mind. After the conclusion of the evidence, after you have heard reason after reason after reason to doubt the prosecution's story, we will ask you to find Ray Concha not guilty.
Thank you very much.
Sitting at counsel's table wearing a denim jacket.
Indicating the defendant for the record.
Noted.
Now, I bring your attention to February 22nd. Did you see the defendant that day?
I saw the defendant at a market in Diamond Heights pushing a shopping cart in my direction, which had 2 sandwich bags, 2 boxes of sandwich bags in her cart.
And what type of sandwich bags?
They were sandwich-sized baggies.
What, if anything, did you see when you left the market?
I saw the defendant's green Buick SUV in the parking lot.
And did you approach the vehicle?
Yes, I did, and I noticed that the rear passenger window was open about 2 inches.
So, what did you do next?
I shined my flashlight through the window and noticed a blue backpack partially covered by a jacket.
Did Ray often carry a backpack?
She almost always carried around a blue backpack.
Was that the only way you could see inside the car?
I hoisted myself up on the hood of the car and shined my flashlight through the windshield.
So, what did you see?
I saw some items underneath the backpack, a roll of money with a $20 bill on the outside, and a ledger filled with names, numbers, and letters, typically used by low-level drug dealers. And I also saw a sandwich bag filled with 5 Adderall pills.
Now, I call your attention to March 27th of this year. Did anything unusual happen that day?
Jason Johnson collapsed and passed out during band practice. Jason was rushed to the hospital, but he died that day. The principal later told me that initial blood tests had showed that Jason had a stimulant in his system.
Did you see Principal McAllister later?
She called me to her office that afternoon.
And what happened when you arrived?
Alex Weaver was there and told me that Ray was a drug dealer who sold drugs in her SUV.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Counsel,
May I be heard, Your Honor?
you may.
Your Honor, this is not hearsay because it is not being offered to show the truth of the matter asserted therein. Instead, it is foundational information being offered to explain the officer's subsequent action.
Counsel?
Your Honor, this information is being offered for the truth of the matter in the sense that it's not going to the officer's subsequent action, but simply to Alex Weaver's claim that my client is a drug dealer.
If you can make an offer of proof as to what the subsequent action is, so that the defense counsel can have a better idea of what it is, if you could do that.
Yes, sir. The prosecution expects that this witness will testify to the fact that she then went to the parking lot with Principal McAllister where they searched Ms. Marshall's car.
Counsel, if that's a subsequent action, if that's the only reason that it's being offered here, address yourself to that, whether that's hearsay or not.
Excuse me, Your Honor?
The prosecution has now made an offer of proof as to the limited purpose as to why it's coming in, and made an offer of proof as to why this is not hearsay. It's only being brought in for the subsequent action here. You can explain that, if you can address yourself to that as to why it's not, why the court should sustain your objection.
Well, Your Honor, the subsequent action of the officer is not directly being motivated by Alex Weaver, and instead Alex Weaver's claim is going to show that my client is a drug dealer and is such being offered for the truth of the matter.
Objection over, you can take care of that question.
So what happened next?
I went with Principal McAllister to search Ms. Concha's car.
And what did you find in the car?
In the rear luggage area of the vehicle, I found 2 jackets and a partially unzipped blue backpack, which looked to be the same color as the one I'd seen on February 22nd.
What did you do next?
I photographed what I saw in the car before searching the backpack.
Is this the photograph you took?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I ask that this photograph be entered into evidence as prosecution's Exhibit A.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
So on.
And what did you find in this backpack?
In the backpack, I found 2 generic prescription bottles, the first filled with 62 round orange-colored pills, and the second filled with 21 of the same pills.
Did you recognize the pills?
They were Adderall.
And did you find anything else?
Yes. Next to the backpack, I found 6 sandwich bags, each filled with 5 Adderall pills. Students commonly sell drugs in these types of bags and often exchange drugs and money in the guise of a handshake.
And did you uncover any other items?
Yes, a roll of money with outside bill, a $20 bill. Inside the roll, there were notes ranging from 1 to 20, totaling $180.
And did you also photograph these items?
Yes, it is.
Is that the photograph you took?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I ask that this photograph be entered into evidence as prosecution's Exhibit B.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
So on.
What action did you take next?
I cataloged the items and waited for Principal McAllister to bring Ms. Concha out to her car.
What did you do when you saw this?
I asked Ms. Concha if the items in the backpack were hers.
After that conversation, what did you do?
I proceeded to arrest Ms. Concha for drug sales and the murder of Jason Johnson.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Question examination?
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed? Good morning, officer.
Good morning.
Now, officer, when you're investigating drug-related crimes, it's important to be thorough, isn't it?
Of course.
Let's talk about how thorough you were when you investigated my client. You began your undercover investigation on February 4th, 2013, correct?
Yes.
Principal helped you out and pointed you towards the school marching band to help your search.
The principal did brief me on the existing circumstances.
Saying yes to my question.
Yes.
So, you came to school every day you could, of course.
Of course.
Every weekday until March 27th?
I was a student there and I had.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance?
Counsel?
Your Honor, I'm simply going to show that the length of the officer's investigation and the thoroughness do not directly correlate to the officer's search being thorough enough.
Counsel?
May I be heard, Your Honor? I don't see how the officer's attendance record has anything to do with the thoroughness of her search.
Quickly, counsel, last word.
Well, Your Honor, this officer was there for nearly 2 months, but never had any probable cause to arrest my client up until that very last day, even though she saw items previous. So this is going to show the lack of thoroughness on the officer's behalf.
Objection overruled.
So you came to school every day you could, of course. Of course. Every weekday until March 27th.
Every day?
So that's almost 2 straight months of you investigating a drug-related crime.
Yes.
So that's almost 2 straight months of you concentrating your investigation of the school marching band, isn't it?
It was 2 straight months of me investigating the band, yes.
So that's the yes to my question.
Yes.
Now let's focus on a particular member of that band. Alex Weaver was a student in the marching band, correct?
Along with myself and Ray Concha and Jason Johnson, yes.
Now Alex Weaver claimed my client had been dealing drugs, correct?
Alex Weaver did claim this, yes.
So during those 2 straight months, you investigated my client even more thoroughly, correct?
I investigated Miss Concha during those 2 months, and only after Miss Weaver had come to the principal with these suspicions had I then finished investigating Miss Concha.
Is that a yes to my question?
Yes.
Now, officer, you claimed to see items in my client's car during February, correct?
Yes, I did.
You didn't bother to take a picture of them, did you?
No, I didn't.
You didn't bother to get a warrant, did you?
I didn't need to. I could see them.
You didn't arrest my client the next time you saw her, did you?
I didn't have enough evidence to arrest Miss Concha at the minute. But it was enough for me to continue investigating her.
So that's a no to my question.
I did not get a warrant.
I'm looking for a number. In those 2 months of investigation, how many times did you see my client handing drugs to Jason Johnson?
I didn't see Miss Concha handing drugs to Jason Johnson.
Is that a 0?
I didn't see any instances. Personally, I didn't.
So that's a 0.
That's a 0, yes.
In those 2 months of investigation, how many times did you see my client handing drugs to anyone?
I didn't see Miss Concha hand drugs to anyone, but Alex Weaver did see Miss Concha hand drugs to Jason Johnson on multiple occasions. But I personally, no.
Objection, Your Honor, not responsive.
Counsel?
Please repeat the answer.
You weren't paying attention, objection, overruled. Answer the question. You moved to strike,
Yes, Your Honor.
so stricken.
Now, in those 2 months of investigation, how many times did you see my client giving drugs to anyone?
I personally did not see that. I saw none.
So that's a 0.
That's a 0, yes.
In those 2 months of investigation, how many times did you see my client even touching drugs?
I didn't see Miss Concha touching drugs except to take some for prescription for her ADHD. But other than that, I didn't see any instances, no.
Now that you know what you didn't find during those 2 months, let's talk about what you remember about the day of the arrest.
Okay.
On March 27th, you found out that Jason Johnson had passed away, right?
Yes.
On March 27th, you told that band student, Alex Weaver, about how you wanted to catch the criminal.
I said we should find out who did this to Jason.
So that's a yes to my question.
Yes.
And Alex Weaver looked away.
Yeah, she did.
You would describe her as anxious, right?
She looked upset. I mean, her friend had just died.
Are you testifying to Alex Weaver being upset as opposed to anxious?
She looked nervous, upset.
Objection, Your Honor. The question equally calls for speculation as to Alex's state of mind.
Counsel?
Your Honor, the witness has directly stated that on page 24, line 46, that Alex Weaver would be described as anxious.
Stop time for a second. After you direct the court, both sides direct the court to go to a page number, you've got to give the court an opportunity to get to the page number and the line that you want them to do. Otherwise, you're continuing to talk and saying on page number